Hi, this is Jan. It's actually some time ago since I have recorded videos, so I'm a little excited about this one because basically what I want to talk about is about the deceit. The deceit that we have experienced as individuals, the deceit that we have experienced as humanity. The deceit that Mother Earth has experienced and maybe even look at as unrecoverable. But I think what I want to focus on is not necessarily the individual deceit that we have all experienced one way or another. And that goes from loved ones, from parents, from children, from friends. And I guess we all have had enough of that. However, it does give us a strength after to realize that maybe we were in the deceiving part ourselves. At least we maybe deceived ourselves. That's a rough start, right? So the reason I'm not even sure of, because I'm trying to speak from my heart without a manuscript. But I just wanted to try to cover the emotional pain that I experience now every day related to the deceit that we have experienced from the ones that we actually were supposed to trust in. The ones that we pay money to. The ones that actually have enslaved us. And unfortunately, also the ones that we cannot see. How does all that actually fit together? Many of us is still not awake. And maybe they are very, very lucky, the ones that are not awake yet. But that will not last, because we all have to wake up to the deceit that has happened to us, especially related to the human and child trafficking, where it has, during the many thousands of years, become the norm that some people, some entities, some beings have this notion that they can just steal what is the most precious for a person, a family, whether it's mom or dad, and basically misuse in the most horrifying way those kids, women, men, boys and girls for their own benefit and their own lust and enjoyment. Some time ago, which a couple of years ago I guess, I started to realize what was really going on in those dumps underground by reading about it, by reading some of the early stories that came out from the alternative media. And honestly, in the beginning, I didn't really dare to believe that humans could be so degenerated that they would take part in these things. Maybe that was my own naivety or innocence or whatever. But then I started to look at my own life. And I did realize that sometimes there was like small snippets of things I heard about, but which I didn't really dig into. I remember my first shock was actually related to a big pedophilia case in Belgium. And honestly, I don't even think that it was dealt with, because it was everyone involved in that, from the top level politicians to police and so on. But it was far away enough to me not really pay more notice to that. But then in some of my job situations, I started meeting people where, let's call it, no normality was not what I would call normality. And that was especially about pedophilia, satanic rituals. Not that I was part of that, but I just heard people talking about it. And more when then the last couple of years, when all these things started to come out and be out in the open of what was really going on in our world. Why is it that 8 million people in US or maybe in the world, kids, women, is disappearing? Why is that a normality? Why has no one, what I would call a normal human being's sense of compassion and safety and security that we all feel for our family, why has that not been cleared and dealt with? But it's always easy to look for the others to do something. And maybe that's the whole point of me speaking this out, is that we need to be much, much more aware of what is going on around us. And we have to get from the point of, okay, that's your own problem, feeling, to actually take part as compassionate co-parents, as compassionate human beings, and at least to help guarding that it doesn't happen where we live ourselves. I still remember a trip that me and my ex-wife had to Disneyland in California when our son was 2.5 years old. And when we came to the entrance, we had heard about children disappearing in Disneyland, while the parents had no clue why it happened, where it happened, and how to deal with it. So we were very, very aware of how we were actually putting my son into whatever of these toy stuff that they like to try, whether it was the roller coaster and all that stuff. I never removed my eyes from him. Then 10 years later, maybe 15 years later, when we had 2 sons, we were visiting Disneyland in Paris. And somehow that feeling or knowledge about that is where the kids disappear was just not part of my mind anymore. Probably because it was too difficult to handle, I guess. And at that time, we basically left our kid on a bench to just look after themselves. They were now 14 and 10 years old. And we, as the parents, were going for a queue that was so long that it would probably take at least an hour until we were back again. And I have to admit that really lack of parenting has haunted me since, that we let that happen with the knowledge that we had from before. And we have not even experienced to have kids that was lost. At least not in that way. This is kind of like a self-cleanup, where I'm trying to put out some warnings to all of us. I do know that we are entering now an age where every one of the evil will be gone, where everything will be more loving and caring and compassionate and based on God's unconditional love. However, how can we be completely sure that all this about human trafficking, slavery, where we basically maybe don't look so much after it, cannot happen again? I truly don't want the history to repeat itself. I truly want for humanity now that we grow up, that we take the needed effort, that we understand that the deceit that has happened in our life and the way we have been deceived with mind control, by media, in every possible way is the worst that could ever happen for anyone in the universe. When I read about it related to other planets, other star systems, it's like, well, this is something we had to go through to be able to grow up, to understand that our own free will and sovereignty is the most important thing when we grow up. The trouble is that's just not how we have learned to trust the systems, to trust who were supposed to take care of us, which now shows in one way or another that that's also the worst deceit that has happened. I'm 66 years old, and I've always had my belief in humans. Humans' capabilities, humans' abilities, humans' let's call it self-perseverance, And somehow that has completely, in a way, taken another turn. I know there is reasons for this, because if you as a prime minister or even just a politician in a government are offered millions of dollars for just doing what you have to do without knowing the whole picture, then it probably becomes like being in the mafia ages of the United States, where if you didn't follow the rules or if you were part of the competing organization, then you'd just go kill someone. But I had no idea that that could actually grow into a worldwide degeneration of the people in the top. And that they were willing, you could even say more than willing, to depopulate the world with their pharma, with their food poisoning, and so on. I mean, in my mind, as a well-educated, intelligent person, this is a degeneration of our basic human capabilities and rights. And I'm sorry to say that it will take us years to be able to heal that. But I will certainly do my best, as I also know that when we reach a certain vibration, we can get over it. So the key to everyone now is raise your vibration. Find your way. But don't leave your eyes or your responsibilities to someone else. I think that was about what I needed to say today. I'm not sure I will share it, but if I share it, I hope that you will understand